Do you remember when you were growing up and you were learning to play the piano and you were learning to do all of these musical things, was there a point at which you remember a breakthrough where it went from being a technical struggle to play the piano to being that kind of transcendent experience where you said you're in a state of like worship or an interaction with an audience? Because I remember growing up that when you first start to play an instrument, there's really nothing transcendent about it because you're spending all your time thinking about keys and chords and how to make your fingers move in the right place. Do you remember that point when you kind of stepped beyond that?
Well, my experience is a little skewed in that, right? Because I grew up playing for Jimmy Swaggart, and I saw Jimmy Swaggart's work, you know, obviously through the eyes of a young man and a child, and I associated everything that happened in the service with the work of God. And so, to me, when I practiced, or I was repeatedly told for the first 13 years that I'm getting there, or you're almost there, or keep practicing, or where that frustrated most people, to me, I felt the better I got and the more moved people were by what I did, the closer I was getting to actually utilizing the talents God had given me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm asking if maybe there was a specific moment or like an age you remember that it wasn't an effort. I'm saying, I understand that you always enjoyed playing. But, you know, when you're a kid, what's the first song you ever played on the piano?
Dixie.
Dixie? Okay. When you were playing Dixie, you had to figure out where the notes were. But then at some point, you went beyond that, and it was just like autopilot. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when that happened?
I'd probably say around 15 or 16 years old. I had started to, I can remember things changing quite a bit on how I saw everything around me, but I remember music becoming a struggle. It became something that people wanted me to be involved with everything they did as far as music was concerned. And then I started to see the difference between what it meant to be music as an entertainer and music as a form of worship. And to me, there's a very real difference between that. And I can remember feeling and being able to tell the difference between what was worship and what wasn't. And that was it, probably around 16.
Okay, that's really interesting that you talk about it getting harder then, rather than getting easier, right? So you felt in some ways like, did you feel in some ways like some people just wanted entertainment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were opposed to doing that? I mean, you weren't interested in it.
If you do things for yourself, and this is not easily just said, you know, people can say, I do this because I want to be humble, and I'm not humble at all. I'm not. I'll just freely admit that, and I'm not going to try to. But when you do something that you believe is for God, for the purpose of worship and for the purpose of ministry, where I come from, it's almost an oppression to know that you're doing something to glorify yourself. And so to play for entertainment while people are like, yay, that sounds great, you think to yourself, if I'm really doing this for God, why am I feeling so good about it? And so you start to think, I'm not supposed to be enjoying this much. And so you fight, you know, with yourself, and you want to go back and you want to say, look, I appreciate that. And you end up saying something to yourself over and over again, give God the glory. You know?
Right.